Hey lovely people, how are you doing today? I was asked to do a video covering whether or not mental illness affects cognitive ability and function. I couldn't resist. I had to look it up. I had to double check. I had to cross check. I had to check again. And who did I use? The internet. Yeah, I had to Google it. Very sad. But I got the papers. Let's talk about this. I typed it all out for you because I just think it's fabulous, right? So, to the lady who asked me, I'm going to give you the whole breakdown, guys. If any of you are concerned about what mental illness does or affects you or affects others that you know cognitively, here's the verdict. And I have included people who had or have mental illness as they say it is. This is the scientific fraternity. And let's see whether we think they have cognitive decline. So then, mental illness refers to a little bit of a lesson. You'll remember this. Mental illness refers to a wide range of mental disorders that affect, this comes from the papers, I'm not inventing this, mood, thinking, behavior, cognitive decline is listed under mental illness, and amongst others, bipolar disorder. So let's take a closer look at a few mental illnesses as defined by the science fraternity and the cognitive decline theory. I'm calling it a theory because of the people who have or had mental illness under what they say it is. All right. It is stated that empirical evidence demonstrates creativity as well as major mental disorders. They don't give them, and they share a common pool made up of individuals with an extreme temporal variant. Okay, so what is a cognitive disorder or impairment? Right, they say this. So a person's got a problem with to think, to learn, to remember, to use judgment, to make decisions. Now, here's a kicker for you. Significantly impaired cognitive functions, i.e. normal functioning, is impossible without treatment. Carry on, because there's more. So, why am I telling you so much? Because it's important that you're informed about what mental illness is and what it isn't. Memory loss, trouble concentrating, completing tasks, understanding, which basically means interpretation, following instructions, solving problems, my best BS story yet, and I'll tell you why. And clearly someone or a body of people who are confused. Okay, so cognitive impairment is linked to the term mental illness. Remember that? And I've just given you the whole list of what they say cognitive impairment is. So what did I do, being me? I decided to research some people who either had, who are no longer with us, or who have, under their definition of mental illness, and I'm going to tell you who they are. This doesn't mean that every single person who has bipolar, borderline, ADD, blah, 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 they don't all have this. But just enjoy. Mental illness and IQ, I thought I'd go into. I put these together because it's cited that mental illness affects one's cognitive ability and many more problems, which I've mentioned. So then, let's look at the geniuses who have or had depression, mental illness, remember, mental illness, Well, we have Elon Musk. He suffers with depression with an IQ of 160 plus. Means he's highly gifted. And the other day I heard him say he also is a bit autistic. I don't think he has a problem with all these cognitive things. Don't know about you guys. I don't see how. I mean, he's the world's richest man. He kind of invented a lot of stuff. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. Bill Gates apparently has ADHD. His IQ is 157. Don't think he had much problem with Microsoft. Albert Einstein, would you believe it? 160 IQ, ADHD and Asperger's. And Abraham Lincoln, they say that he suffered with depression or melancholy, as they called it in those days. Now remember when I told you, they cannot do anything without treatment. I don't know what treatment they gave Albert Einstein back in the day or Abraham Lincoln. But hey, maybe it was a tincture of sorts. I don't know. So, then we go on to ADHD. Remember, cognitive impairment with ADHD. And I looked at their IQs. We have John F. Kennedy. I won't give you their IQ. Bill Gates. Okay, and many more. These I thought were the most significant to give you. There are a few others. Bipolar disorder, let's not forget that. That's always our favorite one. I've written a fabulous song, by the way, which we're going to record. It's really cool. It's called Designer Labels. Wait for it. It's got to be a hit. It's got to be it for us, for all of us, and our loved ones who have to live with us. Right, so bipolar, who's cited as having had or have bipolar or has Beethoven. Ernest Hemingway is one of the greatest authors of all time. I don't think he had cognitive impairment, maybe a bit of memory loss, but hell, he wrote some good books. I wonder, could he think? Must have been able to, right? Virginia Woolf, brilliant author. She sadly committed suicide. Her bipolar was so bad. Isaac Newton, Schumann, the composer, and Winston Churchill, amongst other mental illnesses, as they call mental illness. Now, what I thought I must mention to you, remember that movie, A Beautiful Mind, that starred Russell Crowe? That was all about John Nash, and he suffered with decades of mental illness. He was called a paranoid schizophrenic and whatever else he had. However, he couldn't finish high school. Remember, cognitive impairment, can't do anything, not capable, blah, blah, blah. All right then. I'm sure there are many people who can't, but that doesn't mean everyone. So the stigma can shove itself where it fits best. Right. So John Nash, he was literally a brilliant mind. His mathematics, economics, and others awarded him a Nobel laureate. So here's a man who suffered from decades of mental illness. He did not graduate from high school. Amongst the mental illnesses, he said, as I said, is paranoid schizophrenia. His IQ was 175 and above. So I'd say that's hardly cognitively impaired. Don't know, let's see. Remember, he didn't finish high school, which is what many of our great minds of the past never managed to finish school. Because remember, there's the creativity attached to this terrible situation. So, last thing, learning difficulties falls under mental illness, which is phenomenal. So, let's keep going. Who has or had learning difficulties? Let's be clear about what a learning difficulty is. A learning difficulty is a reduced intellectual ability for a specific form of learning. I repeat that for you because when I give you the names of who is cited to have had learning difficulties, you decide. A learning difficulty is a reduced intellectual ability for a specific form of learning. I've typed here, King Ha. Because who had learning difficulties, supposedly? Einstein, Darwin. Wow. Darwin. Okay, Einstein. Okay. George Washington, Steven Spielberg, Thomas Edison. Wonder how he did the light bulb. Learning difficulties. Must have been pretty tough. Richard Branson. Wonder how he did struggle at school. I know that. But remember all the cognitive impairment stuff? This comes into it. So I wonder how he did the Virgin Airlines and everything else he did. It seems like he's pretty smart to me. Tommy Hilfiger, the designer, and many more. So, I don't know about you guys, but do you think these people had or have intellectual, cognitive impairment? I thought I would just let you know this because there is so little information about mental illness out there that it is quite shocking. And what's worse is people who know something's wrong. In other words, your moods are off, or you're finding that you're going up and down, or you can't regulate, and so on. You're getting depressed a lot, and you're battling at work. Well, yeah, you would be if you're not in treatment and if you're not taking any form of medication. Of course you're going to struggle. But does it mean you're cognitively impaired? Well, you decide, okay? Because for me, each person's different. Some people are naturally have a high IQ, some people don't. I think where the mental illness comes in, it's like a third wheel that sits on us. So we have our brains that are intact, and then we have this disorder that comes from either trauma or it's inherited. So that does not make us cognitively impaired or intellectually sort of less able and so on. And so if you have mental illness and you don't know about it, but you know that your behavior is a bit wonky and you just don't feel right, you get depressed and then you get very angry and then you just kind of trying to do something and then you forget. By the way, memory loss, my friends, memory loss comes with stress. Memory loss comes with a host of things, including thyroid problems. So please, it's not only mental illness. You can separate the criminally insane from mental illness, okay? There is your dividing line, in my opinion. But otherwise, there is no reason to believe or think or judge anybody who has a mental illness. Because if anything, people who have mental illness should be looked at. We're different. That's all. Different. Not crazy, not stupid, not slow. No. The opposite is true. And I've just proved this to you. And as I say once more, it doesn't mean every single person who has mental illness is a flippin' genius. Not at all. But it doesn't mean that every person who has mental illness is a bit on the slow side. It doesn't mean that. So, with that, all my love, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be back with you soon. Any questions? Put it in the comments below. Welcome to the channel. Cheers.